Ladies and gentlemen, from an undisclosed location in Portland, Oregon, the spare bedroom, it's time for MTG Tonight with your host, Jake Boss.
Tonight on the program, we are joined by my good friend Anson, who's going to tell us about his ever-evolving Esper Sharuum EDH deck. But first, through the magic of television, please welcome Anson. I hit the backdrop on that one. So, Anson.
Yes.
I wouldn't say that this is your defining trait, but you're the first judge that I've had on the show.
Oh. One of the issues that I had with Magic over the last 20 some odd years that I've been playing is that, just like, all people, we evolve to become something different than what we once were. So I started in the summer of 94, and it was a great casual thing for me through middle school and high school. And as I got a little bit older, it was a little bit harder for me to maintain the tournament lifestyle and the relationships at the card shop as my main hobby. So I switched over to playing Magic Online.
Okay.
So the digital format really, it was pretty good for me in my 20s.
It was probably good for a lot of people during your 20s. Now, obviously, we have MTG Arena, which is saving the day.
The fact that it has stepped into this new iteration online, I think is, a really interesting thing to see, and we'll continue to see as Magic evolves to see what other formats that it evolves to.
We're probably going to get a deeper understanding of the rules as well when you literally cannot do something illegal, hopefully.
Yes. It does make the judge job very much easier. In my 20s, I had the Magic Online opportunity, and I was able to do whatever I wanted, whenever I wanted. And I didn't even need to wear pants when I was doing it. So that was another interesting aspect of the digital format.
Until you start telling people in the chat that you're not wearing pants.
No. Well, But, when I returned to the paper format, when I started going to college, I started meeting people again. I stopped playing the digital format and I went to paper. I really wasn't one of those grinders that goes to multiple qualifying tournaments, and that sort of lifestyle just wasn't for me. I wasn't really good enough, and I really didn't have the drive to get good enough to play in those types of events. But I still wanted to be involved. For about 6 months, I was running around with a team of players that they were really interested in going to tournaments, so I was just providing support staff for them. I'd go get them food, trade cards for them, carry their bags. I would do everything for them that they would normally do, at a tournament that wasn't concerned with playing in the tournament. So, out of that, I started getting some of the facilitators, some of the judges, lunches when I was going out getting my team lunch.
Because they're not far away from judges. It's a very small town.
Exactly. So, we're all we all know each other.
Yeah.
We've all seen each other at all the events, and it just kind of occurred to me, why not go to these events, but then if I'm a judge, I can get paid. While I was running the support staff, it was just, out of the love of my people that I would do it. But
just like a Magic player, finding value in any situation.
But I was able to talk to some friends, and they were able to introduce me to the right people to get tested. I was mentored and tested. I'll be honest, most people who play in tournaments could be judges.
Really?
Yeah. Myself, I'm a level 1, so I have to judge a sanctioned event once every 12 months, and that's the level of commitment that I really enjoy. I don't have to do a whole bunch of extra stuff. I don't have to do all this stuff.
And since we have a GP that comes to town,
oh yes,
then
that does
you can just work that one every year. You're going to be there anyway.
Yes,
which is in fact the last place that I saw you recently.
Yeah. Yep, and I saw you with the camera.
We're running around camera.
Oh yeah.
We have some stuff coming up from the GP in the off weeks. So anyway, back to this planet. So you're a level 1 judge. Do you have any aspirations for going to level 2?
I did at one point, but when I was in college, I had a lot more free time. Now that I'm not in college, I have a wife now. Hi, Samantha.
Hey, Samantha. It's Jake.
But life gets busy, and unfortunately, my aspirations for going beyond level 1 because of the responsibility requirements. It's not something that I'm looking for right now. Maybe in the future.
So this amount of work gives you what you need to fill your magic personal bucket.
Yes, it does. And I get to interact with the community, and that's really what it's all about for me, that I wanted to be able to hang out with my people, but not have to play cards all the time because, over the 20 years, I've gotten to the point where Magic is less entertaining for me than what I think for some of the newer players.
Yeah.
For me, it's a reason to hang out with, my friends.
And you're always on Facebook, like social with people and saying, hey, who wants to draft this? Just come to the bar.
Yeah.
Let's draft.
I'll buy a box every release. And unfortunately, I'm not always in a position where I have people set up. So sometimes we go to the bar with my box and it becomes 12-pack sealed.
Oh, yeah.
Or, we got to open it. I don't know what to do, but we got to open it.
Got to get my shot glands. Get to work, guys.
I end up with a lot of product as a judge, sealed product. So
and also as a pretty good player. Coming undefeated, you walk away with 12 packs pretty frequently.
I do okay.
In the events that we play.
I do okay. I do okay.
So where do you think the line is between Judge Anson and Player Anson?
One of the aspects of being a judge is that you are on the clock. It is a job. It is something that you want to strive for excellence in. I'm not as personally committed to being an excellent person, in my personal life, as I am to being a great judge. So
it's like Player Anson is when the sinner comes out, yes. And we're back to business. And
you'll notice that I play very, very casually, and oftentimes when we're recording life totals, it's ish. The number is accurate, but ish.
Whatever you say, opponent, it's all you. No, I believe
you. How I talk to people when I'm on staff versus when I'm just walking around, it is different. I'm looking for, number one, to encourage my tournament grinders to do very well. They come up to me and they say, I'm 2-0, I'm super jazzed and I'm ready to go. I'm like, no, you're 2-0 right now, but I understand that you're really jazzed, but I want to see you in the top 8. I don't want to talk to you.
You're the coach in the corner, roughing him up, slapping him in the face, go get him, Tiger, break a leg.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of our local meta.
I've only ever had one issue, and you were there for that incident.
Oh.
And it wasn't with you, I promise. But there was a player who had double-sleeved some cards, not double-sleeved other cards.
Okay.
And there was a dispute about life totals. And this whole thing became a, hour-and-a-half long round. And they had gone to turns, and then there was a dispute of what turn it was, even. The way that you as a player were there, I saw this change in you where you start talking about, what's most important is educating this player. And, personally, I'm not a judge, so I can say I felt like this guy was a deceiver who was no good, double-sleeving cards, knowing what he was doing, stuff like that. But you are just trying to move this thing forward into a positive direction. I thought it was the right way to handle something like that, where there's not any good news. It's not going to get better. It's just got to be over.
Yes, I do remember this incident, but one of the main things that we focus on at store level tournaments, which are run at regular rules enforcement level, is educating players and making sure that they understand how tournament magic works. Oftentimes we kind of gloss over learning about that stuff as a player.
Yeah.
We just kind of do what everyone else is doing. We look around the room and it's like, oh, people are sleeving cards. I should probably sleeve my cards.
Yeah.
And
so with this guy in particular, though, he wouldn't start this tournament until he had a full art foil basic mountain for his standard deck. He was like, oh, seriously? Fine. I guess I'll use an unhinged mountain then. Literally.
Oh, wow.
And so I was already off put from the start. But anyway, let's move on to a more constructive topic. How do you feel that being a judge has influenced you as a player?
That is a really interesting question.
Does that mean a really bad question?
I think it's more one of the other players, how they interact with me. I think that's what really changed.
Okay.
That, they were asking me rules questions before, just the same.
Yeah.
I mean, we all, as players ask each other questions about the rules and how do you think this works and well, it's worded this way. Why
How do I know that that's a morph?
Yeah. And then suddenly it's like, oh, Judge Anson will know. And then everybody starts coming out of the woodwork asking questions. And it's great that I can be a resource, and it's great to be a resource in the community. But it was something that I didn't really expect. It was a hidden aspect of becoming a judge.
It's no longer like a respect thing that you have to earn. It's like you're a known quantity. So your commander deck that you brought today, on a scale of jank, casual, focused, optimized, and competitive,
Ooh.
where would you say that this lies?
Just below optimized.
Just below optimized. So focused. I feel like that's where a lot of us who take the game seriously enough to spend at least $250 on your collection, I feel like that's where most of us live. Mm-hmm. Your focused deck, who's your commander?
Sharuum, the hegemon. I'm not sure how to pronounce that.
Somebody figure it out here. Write it in the comments, and I still won't be able to pronounce it.
There's actually an interesting story that comes with this deck, that it was actually a Esper Plane Chase deck. The Esper Plane Chase event deck that was released in its first wave. Just a neat artifact-based Esper deck, and I had a lot of fun with it, so I decided that I'd power it up, but to maintain its casual playstyle, I made it into a Highlander, a singleton deck, a 60-card singleton.
Okay.
People were less interested in playing 60-card casual Plane Chase, and there's this new format that people were playing a little more often. This is about a decade ago now, where you have a 100-card singleton. I'm like, well, okay, I got a 60-card singleton. I can add 40 cards, no problem.
Here's 40
cards.
40 lands.
I got Draft Chaff right here. Let's go.
Pretty much. I'm interested to see where this goes, but the network makes me have a mandated 2 seconds of black break. So when we come back, we're going to be talking about his ever-evolving Esper Sharuum deck. Are you impressed by my alliteration here? Because I certainly am. Don't touch that dial. We'll be right back. We are back. We're talking to Anson. Anson has brought this Esper deck that has been changing over the years, from Plane Chase deck to a 60-card singleton, 100-card singleton, now a commander deck. How has your commander deck evolved?
We've changed the concept several times that, depending on the meta, things need to be taken care of.
Okay, so like our good friend Chris Tabor, who needs to be slaughtered with his mill deck.
Well, we all have different strategies that we're trying to use. So my idea is that overall, I'm a control player, and I learned that control was the best format because I played a green-red control deck for my first tournament win.
Green-red control deck?
Yes, this is during the Tempest Exodus standard. So
so now we've got the polar opposite. We're back in Esper control in EDH. So are you kind of a permission deck?
I have been, and in its current iteration, the Esper Sharuum deck is more about trying to be everything. I have little bits of all my little previous iterations. So I have the Thopter Foundry combo.
Well, first off, we'll get to that in a second. Tell me about your commander, Sharuum.
Oh, okay. Sharuum is a 5/5 flying creature. When it comes into play, take an artifact from your graveyard and put it into the battlefield. The idea is that we reanimate something that we shouldn't be able to pay for.
Okay, so what artifacts are you trying to bring back mainly?
We have some really interesting pieces. We have the Sphinx of the Steel Wind,
which does
6/6 flying, first strike, lifelink, protection from green and red. Has all the good stuff. Then we have, oh my goodness, it's the Black Gear Hulk, Noxious Gear Hulk.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yes, when it comes into play, destroy target creature, you gain some life. Has Menace, is also an artifact. very good.
Any small amount of evasion in Commander means I'm tickling somebody.
Yeah, no, I'm getting in. I'm getting in. Well, not to mention, I just took away one of your blockers too.
Yeah,
so.
That's a really good point. Okay. So we got Noxious Cure Hulk. What else are we trying to bring?
We got the Mirror Battle Ball, the Battle Sphere.
Yeah.
We like that guy.
Bringing in a bunch of tokens.
Duplicates. We like, Worm Coil Engine.
Yeah.
So it's
Love Worm Coil.
It's not just creatures, but we also have the Immortal Sun. That I've noticed that my group has been getting into some planeswalkers lately. Now I want to turn those things off.
Immortal Sun is just a big old pile of things. Like creatures get an Anthem. You draw another card. Spells are cheaper, and planeswalkers can't be activated.
Yes.
All for 6 mana on one single card.
Yes.
Why are we all not playing this card in every deck?
Probably that's a great question.
Maybe you're one of them jokers playing planeswalkers in his playgroup.
I found that a lot of my playgroups were pulling most of their tech from Legacy Top 8 lists. When you look at their EDH deck list, they either look like an exact copy of something that you found on MTG Goldfish, or they're 3 or 4 Legacy decks crammed together.
Are you not a net decker? You don't believe in net decking?
I look at lists, but I very rarely copy a list.
Yeah. I think when it comes to those budget decks that you see, I have no problem with plugging them into mass entry and sending that to my house, 99 cards ready to go. But so we're trying to get back these powerful artifacts from your yard. How are we getting them in there?
For the most part, I just play the game as normally as I can, just not casting the commander. We have a lot of other neat things that I'm bringing in specifically to show my playgroup how good other cards that aren't in Legacy are. Profane Procession, a black-white enchantment that flips into a land that it exiles creatures.
It's removal on a stick.
Yeah, well... Yeah, I mean, you gotta pay for
sticks are creatures.
Yeah.
Well, what would we call it in enchantment?
I don't know.
On a slab? I don't know.
What I really liked about it was, number one, it exiles creatures. Which, if you've played in EDH, the graveyard is a resource, mostly for your opponents.
Yeah. And it doesn't need to be.
It
doesn't need to be tapped. You can do this multiple times.
Yes. As long as you got the mana, you got it.
Yeah.
So I've been playing that as a great way to take away people's generals when they get a little out of control. There's a Scion of Ur-Dragon
yeah, especially if it's being piloted by a jerk. You can play that deck
my
fairly.
friend is not a jerk, but he has some very powerful cards. I do have a lot of sorceries and instants in the deck, so most of the sorceries and instants are divided into 2 camps. You're either removal or you're a tutor effect. So,
how many tutors are you running in Esper? There's so many options.
I think there are only Enlightened Tutor, Vampiric Tutor, Demonic Tutor, and Gifts Ungiven. Okay.
So we're trying to put stuff into the yard. We're trying to recur it. How are we winning the game?
Oh.
Did that occur to you, or you don't want to win the game?
I just want to make the game difficult for someone else to win. I'm not... No. I mean, we can use any big creature that we get out of the graveyard or that, is hanging around, really, because we also play Treachery and Bribery. So,
which are...
Treachery is an enchantment where we enchant your creature and then get to untap 5 lands. So that's pretty tasty.
Okay.
Bribery is where I go looking through your library and I take a creature and then just put it into play on my battlefield.
Wow.
So just,
that better be a steep mana cost.
No, it's 5 mana. It's insane.
There's no drawbacks to this.
Your opponent better have good creatures.
Oh well in Commander.
Aha!
Yeah.
Aha!
Jeez.
So the idea is that now I'm not playing any creatures. Woohoo!
You are a dangerous individual. We've all seen The Dark Knight. This guy...
I do stuff.
You just want to see the world burn.
Yeah, well, I just want to make it... I'm more of a challenge for you to win than for me to beat you.
So you're like one of the secondary bosses before I go to defeat Ganon.
Yeah, well, I'm here to make your life tough. I'm more actually like a mid-level thug that just your world was going well, and then knock your drink off the table. Or
so there's no win condition in this deck.
Well, I mean, I'll try to win, but for the most part, I pose a very obvious threat, and everyone is trying to push the king off the mountain. And that's the idea, that I'm the biggest threat on the table. My cards are objectively very powerful, in and of themselves, and the way I get at them, the ramp that I use is very aggressive. So oftentimes, I can present a very strong board state on turn 4.
Okay.
And not everyone is geared to play on that level. And especially when we're playing Esper, kind of a mid-range control deck as well. I'm presenting a Scarab God on turn 4 that I do have the ability to activate it once on that turn. So, what are you going to
do? So a lot of times on this show, I'll say stuff like, we come to Magic to play, not to win. But this is like so far in that direction. I've never met someone playing a deck like this. So this is a real treat to meet an agent of chaos.
Yeah, so chaos.
So you brought something rather interesting. You were showing me this a little bit before the show. Here's some footage I prepared earlier. Tell me about this.
So this is a card from a sister game of Magic called Jihad that was originally released in the early 90s along with Magic. This is a very special card in the sense that my name is quite unique. It's rather rare.
I've only ever seen it twice. Once with you and once with, of course...
Yeah, Anson Maddox. So this is a card that was illustrated by Mark Tadine. He's one of the earliest Magic artists along with Anson Maddox. But as a fan, as an Anson myself, I was a fan of Anson Maddox, and I got to meet him several times. And the first time was in 2002, where he signed it across the top here. And then, as I've been going to events more recently, I've been able to get him to sign it several other times. And actually, one of the shows in Vegas that I was able to attend as a judge, I actually got him to swap badges with me on the last day. So he signed his badge to me. And
do you have a picture of that?
I don't have it.
Well, here's a picture of them together anyway.
Oh, okay, yes. But I did get to sign my badge to him, and we swapped badges, and it was a really fantastic kind of Anson moment.
Yeah.
I've gotten to meet them, Mark and Anson. They're actually buddies from, in the Wayback Machine.
Yeah, we talked about Mark a lot on the last episode with the way that his art has translated from back then until now. When you look at stuff like Chaos Orb versus Eon's Torn, he's evolved so much as an artist over time.
Definitely. And I'm a big fan of his as well, but... if I had to choose between Mark or Anson,
gotta go with
the Anson here.
All right, Anson. Well, it was really awesome having you on the show. I'm glad we worked this out, and I hope to have you back, especially when some whack rule changes come in or some crazy new mechanics or stuff. So, Anson, big thank you for coming out and showing me your deck. That was really cool. But give me a moment with my audience, because... Guys, I want to thank you so much for joining us for the first 6 shows. This has been a huge roller coaster of lots of different things, and I think we finally got it down to a science. We got the new intro, some new videos that are coming out in between shows and stuff like that. If you like what we do, support us on YouTube by subscribing, but if you love what we do, consider supporting us on Patreon with donations as low as $1. It all makes a difference. That's all our time.